Welcome back to Horror Hues, your ultimate pit stop for bone-chilling narratives. Today, we are veering off the well-trodden path of abandoned houses and haunted woods, and stepping onto the glimmering, seemingly innocent basketball court. We have for you three ghastly tales that rose from the deafening cheers and pulsating energy of Eurobasket 2023. This isn't a game for the weak-hearted, it's a confrontation with the eerie, unexplainable side of the sport that you thought was purely about athleticism and strategy. So, pull your blankets closer, turn down the lights, and brace yourselves. It's time to dive headfirst into a chilling realm where every bounce of the ball could be a heart-stopping echo from the other side. But before we do, if you love these unnerving narratives, don't forget to give us a like, subscribe to our channel, and ring that notification bell to ensure you never miss another spine-tingling tale. Ready? Let's embark on this eerie journey together. Story 1, The Final Whistle. Lucas was an up-and-coming player for the Eurobasket 2023, his every move under the spotlight. But as the days inched closer to the big game, strange occurrences began to plague him. It started with cryptic notes left in his locker. "Remember what you did?" One read, "You can't run from the past," said another. Unsettling as these were, Lucas dismissed them as pranks. Then the nightmares began. Each night, Lucas dreamt of an abandoned court, under a moon that glowed an ominous red. On the court, he saw himself as a teenager, a memory from his past that he had tried hard to suppress. He was in a game, and there was a collision. The other player collapsed, life extinguished instantly. It was an accident, a terrible, unfortunate accident that Lucas had carried with him ever since. The nightmares got worse, the ghost of the dead player haunting Lucas every night. He saw him on the court in his dreams, he saw him in the crowd during games, he saw him in the mirror, always pointing an accusatory finger at him. Lucas was on edge when the big game finally arrived. His usual charm and flamboyance replaced with a cold sweat and trembling hands. But he was determined. He had a game to play. The whistle blew, and the game began. But as Lucas raced around the court, the dead player followed him, mirroring his every move. He was everywhere, in the corner of his eye, in the reflection of the polished court, in the crowd. He was all Lucas could see. He could no longer tell where the real world ended, and his nightmares began. The final seconds of the game ticked by. Lucas had the ball. He could see the hoop, but he could also see the dead player standing in front of it. With a desperate scream, Lucas charged, the cheers of the crowd fading into a low, dull hum. And then, the final whistle blew. When the crowd looked, Lucas was gone. Vanished. His teammates, the opposing team, the crowd stared at the spot he was just at, utterly confounded. Lucas was gone, but the echo of the final whistle lingered, bouncing around the eerily silent court. And then, from nowhere, a chilling laugh echoed around the stadium, a haunting reminder of the player that was no more. As the horrifying truth sunk in, the crowd could only stare at the empty court, the terror of the final whistle reverberating in their hearts forever. Story 2, The Cursed Jersey. A diehard fan, Ava, was excited about the Eurobasket 2023. Her excitement doubled when she managed to get her hands on a vintage jersey of her favorite team from an online auction. The jersey, worn and faded, was said to belong to a team that had disappeared mysteriously decades ago. Fascinated by the legend, Ava treated it like a prized possession. It wasn't long before strange things began to happen. At night, Ava would hear the distant bounce of a basketball, the swoosh of a net, and a crowd's cheer. Startled, she'd look around, only to find her apartment still and silent. Then, she began seeing ghostly apparitions of players on a spectral court right in her living room, in the dead of night. She discovered, after some frantic research, the horrifying truth. The original team to which the jersey belonged had perished in a tragic accident while traveling for a game. The team was last seen wearing the same jerseys Ava now had. The spectral matches became more intense and frequent, as if the ghostly team was trying to replay their last match, the one they never got to play. Ava, initially a bystander, was gradually drawn into the spectral court, as if she was a part of the crowd. The haunting basketball noises filled her apartment, the ghostly cheers piercing the night. In a desperate bid to end the haunting, Ava decided to burn the jersey. As the flames began to consume the fabric, she found herself transported to the ghostly court. She was in the crowd, witnessing the final match, her heart pounding. The spectral players moved with an eerie grace, passing the basketball, scoring, as the crowd roared. Suddenly, there was a brilliant flash of light. The ghostly players turned towards Ava, smiled, and in a swift moment, they vanished. Ava was left standing in the spectral court, alone. The next moment, she was back in her living room, the flames of the jersey extinguished, the haunting noises gone. The spectral court had vanished, leaving her room as it had always been. Ava survived the horrifying ordeal but was left with a bone-chilling tale of her encounter with the ghostly basketball players. The jersey was just a piece of cloth now, the spectral players freed, their final match played. But Ava would always remember, every time a basketball game started, the ghostly echo of a crowd's cheer. Story 3, The Eternal Match. The janitor of the Eurobasket 2023 venue, Thomas, was no stranger to late nights. He was often left alone, long after the games had ended and the fans had gone home. But one night, as he was sweeping the aisles, he heard something, the distant sound of a basketball game. Curious and a bit unnerved, he followed the sound to an old, untouched part of the venue. As he pushed open the creaky doors, he saw a match playing out, but there was something off about it. The players in the crowd were spectral, their bodies glowing with an ethereal light. The game was in full swing, but the players moved with a ghostly grace, their feet not touching the court. Thomas, rooted to the spot, watched the spectral match, the old scoreboard showing the year, 1947. With a little digging, he discovered a chilling fact. A team had mysteriously vanished during a game in 1947, right in the middle of the match, leaving behind a baffled crowd. The spectral match became an obsession for Thomas. He'd watch it every night, unable to tear his eyes away. His life began to revolve around the spectral match, the ghostly cheers echoing in his ears even during the day. One night, Thomas decided to intervene. He wanted to warn the team, save them from their fate. He stepped onto the spectral court, his heart pounding. The players turned towards him, their eyes full of surprise. The crowd fell silent. The moment his foot touched the court, everything changed. The vibrant colors of the world dimmed, and he felt an intense cold. The ghostly players were now real, the spectral court now solid under his feet. He turned back to leave, but the door through which he had entered was gone. Thomas was never seen again, his mop left abandoned on the court. The old part of the venue was sealed off, the sounds of the spectral match contained within. But the memory of the janitor who became a part of the eternal match would always send a chill down the spines of those who knew his story. The horrifying reminder that the basketball court was not just a place for games, but also a playground for the spectral players locked in their eternal match. That brings us to the end of our ghastly Eurobasket 2023 tales. As you retire to bed tonight, consider the echoes of the basketball court in a different light. Will you hear the spectral cheers from an eternal match? Or perhaps the haunting echo of a final whistle from a player who disappeared? Or will the chilling laughter of a long-gone team resound in your ears? Each tale reminds us that sometimes, even the most seemingly innocent arenas can harbor eerie secrets. It's not always the abandoned houses or the desolate graveyards, sometimes, it's the echoing basketball courts that hold the most chilling tales. Thank you for being such brave souls and sticking with us till the end. If you want more, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and tap the notification bell. This way, you'll never miss another eerie tale from Horror Hues. Until next time, sleep tight, and remember, the echoes you hear may not just be from the game.